Something huge just moved under the water. Not metaphorical, not symbolic. Right now, steel is vibrating, sonar is screaming, and trained men are pretending they don't hear it because acknowledging it would mean admitting the ocean is not empty. The ship keeps going. The thing below keeps pace. This is where the story begins, not in the past, not in myth, but in the moment people realized the old stories never died. They were just waiting. Every culture said the same thing in different words. Something lives where we can't survive. Something older than us. Something that does not care if we understand it. For centuries, we called it superstition to stay sane. Now the distance between superstition and evidence collapses fast, and it collapses violently. The water breaks. Not dramatically, efficiently. A mass surfaces that does not fit in the mind. Flesh folds like architecture. Arms coil where arms should not exist. Suckers drag along metal and leave marks that do not fade. The crew freezes. Cameras fail. The thing sinks again, uninjured, unbothered, as if it surfaced by accident. Later, the report will say unknown biological phenomenon. That phrase will not stop anyone from shaking. They used to draw this thing with tentacles wrapped around ships because they had no other language. Kraken, sea devil, God's mistake. We laughed at the drawings. We trusted modern hulls and deeper engines. We trusted maps. Then the nets started coming up shredded, not torn, shredded with precision, as if cut by something that understood resistance. Then the whales started washing ashore with marks that did not match teeth. Then submarines started losing power for minutes at a time, like something was leaning against them, listening. Science said giant squids were exaggerations. Sailors said otherwise. Science said they were rare, weak, deep, and harmless. Sailors said they watched them fight whales and win. Science revised quietly when bodies started surfacing longer than city buses, eyes the size of shields, arms that could wrap a building. The revision did not come with an apology. It came with silence. The reversal hits harder when you realize this is not the first time. A desert wind is blowing right now, cutting across bone and sand. Something is being uncovered centimeter by centimeter by people who expected a skull and found a nightmare. The eye socket is wrong. Too big, too central. A single, massive hollow that makes every human instinct scream. The workers step back. The shape matches the old coins, the pottery, the warnings carved into stone. Cyclops, one-eyed giant, eater of men. They said it was fantasy. They said it was a story to scare children away from caves. Then the skull finishes emerging, and the truth humiliates everyone in attendance. This thing walked upright. This thing had mass. This thing had a face that could only be interpreted one way by people who had never seen its living form. The trunk hole becomes an eye. The tusks become teeth. The elephant becomes a monster the moment context is removed. The reversal is brutal. The myth was not imagination. The myth was a report. The mistake was not the ancient mind. The mistake was ours, assuming we were smarter just because we were later. This pattern repeats like a wound reopening. High in the mountains, a shadow crosses snow that has never felt bare skin. Footsteps sink deeper than any human step should. Trees bend without breaking. Cameras catch nothing useful. Just blur. Just motion. Just proof that something heavy moved fast and did not care about being seen. Bigfoot. Sasquatch. Wild man. We turned it into a joke to survive the discomfort. Then teeth are found. Not fossilized. Not ancient. Worn. Used. Larger than any human jaw can explain. Then bones surface that do not match bears or apes or anything safe. Then a name from deep time crawls back into relevance. Gigantopithecus. A primate tall enough to look down on fear. Officially extinct. Conveniently extinct. Extinct because living with it would mean admitting we share the world with something that never needed cities to dominate territory. Science says it died out. Science said many things before it had to retract them quietly. The forests are old. The gaps between sightings are long. But extinction is a word we use when we stop looking, not when something stops breathing. In the ocean again, something else rises. It is long. Too long. The body undulates like a mistake. Sailors scream, sea serpent, and historians roll their eyes until the photographs start stacking up. A ribbon of muscle longer than a basketball court. A spine that never seems to end. An eye that reflects light with a patience that feels deliberate. Oarfish, they say. Harmless, they say. Deep-sea fish that only surface when dying. That explanation fails the moment multiple ships report being followed. It fails when the bodies show no signs of decay. It fails when ancient carvings match the modern images down to the curve of the spine. It fails because it asks you to believe coincidence is stronger than memory. The old maps had monsters on the edges for a reason. Those edges were real. The ground trembles somewhere inland. Not an earthquake. Too localized. Too rhythmic. Trees crack. Birds flee in sheets. Something massive moves through foliage that should slow it down and does not. The stories called it a dragon. Fire breather. Scourge. God of fear. We stripped it of credibility because we could not find fire. Then a skull surfaces with ridges like armor and teeth built to tear and crush. And suddenly the problem is not fire. The problem is size. The problem is weight. The problem is the undeniable fact that people without microscopes or carbon dating still understood scale. They saw bones. They saw shadows. They saw creatures that no longer walk and assume divinity because that was the only category large enough. Dinosaurs, we say now, as if naming them removes the terror, as if giving them Latin turns them into museum pieces. But the earth is old, and bones do not respect timelines. In places where stories say dragons slept, fossils are thick. In places where knights swore they fought beasts, the ground still holds evidence of something that could not be ignored. The reversal cuts again. The dragon did not become a dinosaur. The dinosaur became a dragon the moment it entered the human mind. We were not wrong. We were early. In the frozen north, something howls that does not sound like a wolf. It is lower, heavier. The sound carries weight, like it bends air. People lock doors. People laugh nervously. People say werewolf because they need a word that acknowledges fear without demanding proof. Then bodies appear with hair growing where it should not, teeth malformed, bones altered by something inside the blood that does not care about folklore. The transformation is not magical. It is cruel. It is visible. It is a human body failing to obey its own rules. The monster is not an animal. The monster is a person becoming something else and knowing it. They said it was curse. They said it was madness. Then medical records pile up, and the curse looks a lot like chemistry, and the madness looks like survival. The fear remains, because knowing how it happens does not make it stop. In a field once walked by caravans, a horn is dug from the earth. Not delicate, not decorative, thick as a pillar, curved like a weapon. The unicorn laughs at modern minds because it refuses to stay cute. This horn belonged to something that charged, something that trampled, something that did not glitter or prance. Elasmotherium, a rhinoceros scaled up to nightmare proportions. Hairy, massive, fast. The horn alone long enough to skewer a horse and keep going. Humans saw it and reached for the closest myth available. Purity, magic, healing. Anything to soften the truth that the world once contained animals that could erase a person in a second. We prefer fantasy because reality is heavier. On a cliffside overlooking the sea, an ancient drawing shows a bird lifting an elephant. Scholars mocked it. Impossible weight. Impossible wingspan. Then eggs are found bigger than heads. Bones thicker than beams. The rock steps out of ridicule and into evidence. Elephant birds. Flightless, they say, to calm themselves. But stories of flight persist, because stories remember motion even when bones forget it. When something vanishes violently, memory exaggerates. When something vanishes slowly, memory sharpens. The rock did not need to lift elephants to earn fear. It needed only to exist. Across continents, statues show lions with wings and eagle heads guarding gold. Griffin, symbol, allegory, until fossils of Protoceratops appear in the exact regions where the stories originated. Beaked skulls, for legs, massive bodies, nesting grounds near precious metal deposits. Nomads did not invent guardians. They described what they saw defending its territory. The pattern becomes undeniable. Myth is not the opposite of truth. Myth is truth under pressure. The pressure increases when the monsters stop being ancient. A disease spreads in a medieval village. People do not die quietly. They waste. They convulse. Their skin changes color. Their teeth stain. Sunlight hurts. Neighbors dig up graves and find bodies bloated, bleeding, mouths open like they are still feeding. Vampire. They burn the corpses to protect themselves. Centuries later, blood disorders explain the symptoms without explaining the terror. The people were sick, yes. The bodies decomposed, yes. But the fear was earned. When death does not behave, the mind fills the gap with monsters. Here is the second reversal. sharper than the first. We thought these stories survived because humans are irrational. They survive because humans are witnesses. The monsters did not come from imagination. Imagination came from monsters. And now, the final humiliation. We believed extinction was permanent. We believed dominance meant safety. We believed mapping the world meant owning it. But every year, something new crawls out of the dark with a shape that should not exist anymore. Every year, a camera catches a blur that ruins a career. Every year, a scientist revises a paper and pretends it was always obvious. The Earth is not done producing things that make us feel small. It is not obligated to align with our confidence. Somewhere right now, something is moving that will not have a name yet. It will break equipment. It will leave marks that do not match teeth. It will force a choice between ridicule and honesty. Most will choose ridicule, because honesty means accepting that the boundary between the known and the unknown is thin, flexible, and actively dissolving. The monsters were never myths. They were early warnings. And if creatures once labeled impossible can step back into evidence, then the line between living and dead is not fixed. The line between human and animal is not stable. The line between past and present is negotiable. The unsettling truth is not that monsters existed. It is that existence does not care what we are ready to believe. And whatever is watching from the dark right now is not waiting for permission to be real.